I would like to welcome on stage the Director of Chile Asian Business Council. Please welcome Mr. Gerardo Velasco. Welcome. So how do I say hello in Chile?
Hola.
Hola, okay.
That's not very difficult.
Hola, ¿cómo está?
Pleasure to meet everybody.
Okay, so well, I will hand this panel discussion to you. All yours, sir.
ขอบคุณมากนะครับ
ขอบคุณค่ะ
All right, well, we're going to be together for the next 45 minutes, so we're going to make this as entertaining as possible. Now, everybody who's behind this line, please move forward. There's not going to be much on screen. Seriously, please move forward. We want to see your faces. We hope you can see ours as well. And, no, well, they're busy. So, all right, I would first like to bring back the first panelist of our session, Ms. Rocio Fonseca, the Executive Director of Startup Chile. Our second panelist is Mr. Santosh Kumar, the co-founder and CEO of SpotPlay. Our third panelist is Dr. Nadira Nilupamali, the co-founder of ImmuniFyMe. And our fourth and last panelist is Mr. Enrique Vaz, founder and CEO of CleanCloud. All right, so the panel of today is called Go Global, Build for the World. Now, why is this important? We have a very special panel here of international startups, all currently in different programs of the Startup Chile, which, as of now, I hope everybody sort of heard Ms. Rocio's talk. I know there are a few new faces, so we'll have her pitch Startup Chile again in a bit. Now, the panel itself today is going to be divided into three themes. We're going to be talking about the global market and competition, what that means for startups, the international exposure and collaboration and how that affects going global, and also several truths and myths that we usually hear every day today as startups, but from a global perspective. Now, before we continue and dive straight into our first theme, I want you to, especially newcomers, to know where Chile is. Now, this is the only time when you should be looking at the screen, so please do so now. As you see, Chile is in South America. It's the blue skinny country on the edge. Now, I know what you're thinking, and perhaps our Thai friends here would know our country as Chile. And yes, unfortunately, we do look like a Chile, but we're not, all right? It's Chile, not Chile. And at the end of this panel, I'll have a surprise. I'll actually tell you what the true meaning of Chile means, all right? So you have to hang around until the end. Now, as I was introduced, I'm the moderator of this panel. My name is Gerardo Velasco. I'm the director of the Chile ASEAN Business Council, but I'm the least important person here. So what we're going to do now is have each of our panelists pitch in 45 seconds who they are and what their startup does. So, Rocio, I'd like you to start, please.
Okay, I'm Rocio Fonseca. I'm the executive director of Startup Chile. Startup Chile is an accelerator program leading by the government. It's a public organization. We're fully funded by the Ministry of Economy of our country. And the goal of Startup Chile is to change the economic matrix. How can startups create this transformation? So we help startups to do their businesses from Chile to the entire world. Okay? It doesn't matter if you are from Thailand, from India, for Portugal, yes, from Sri Lanka. They are Chileans because the startups are doing businesses from Chile to the world. That's the magic about our program.
Thank you very much. In fact, I would like to highlight that of our three startup panelists here, none of them are Chilean. However, they are all Chilean. Santosh.
Hello, everyone. I'm Santosh, founder
from Chile.
Yeah. I'm a true Chilean. So I'm founder of SpotPlay. We are a patent-pending technology company. We want to disrupt the transportation segment by bringing entertainment inside the buses. A lot of buses that have a single screen, we want to modify them to the airline industry kind of a situation where you have individual entertainment for each of them. And this is a patent-pending product that we have built from India and Chile to the world. Right? We started innovating in India, but we found that Chile is a great market for us. So this is what I'll explain more when we talk about the global a go global concept. And I'm very happy to be in Thailand now, looking at Thai market as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Santosh. Nadira, you're up.
I'm Nadira, co-founder of Immunify Me. Immunify Me is trying to solve a global problem. We are in the vaccination monitoring. So Immunify Me is a cloud-based ecosystem combined with a mobile app and a smart card. So everywhere, children are dying due to not getting proper vaccination. So we are trying to solve vaccination problem globally.
Thank you. And last but not least, Enrique.
Nice. Glad to be here. My name is Henrique. I'm from Clean Cloud, and we are a platform that helps you manage your cloud computing infrastructure. AWS, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure will help you manage it with dashboards, reports, and we do like an automatic consulting, auditing on your cloud every day, so you don't waste any resource and have security issues.
All right. Now that we are all familiar with our panelists, we can dive right into our first theme. All right? And our first theme is about the global market and competition, because startups being the drivers of innovation, future industries, and being disruptive to current industries, it is important to understand what is the place of these startups in the world, how you stand up to everything else around us. Now, within that context, we have been in Thailand for a few days now ourselves, and we have understood sort of your great successes and the challenges that are here in the Thai ecosystem. And one of the things that everybody mentions to us, whether the public sector or private sector, is about the mindset. How hard it is to move from being local to thinking globally. And within that, I want to start this section first off with Rocio again. Again, some of you already heard part of this during her talk. But Rocio, your program, at least over the last 7 years, has managed to turn Chile, a country of 17 million people, even though we have 1.5 times the landmass of Thailand, from thinking locally to being a hub of international entrepreneurs. Now, why should the entrepreneurs be going global?
Well, as I told you at the beginning, startups, the definition of a startup is technological base with global market companies. That's it. So a startup, it was created to go global. So if you think that you're developing a technology to implement it just in your country, check yourself and check your business, okay? Because if you're creating a technology just for the local market, maybe it will be easier to import that technology. Maybe that technology is already done somewhere, and maybe it's cheaper than yours, okay? So startups, the baseline is going global, okay? So if you are creating a business that is technological based, do your research first, check who is your competition, right? And maybe it already exists, the same thing, and maybe it's easier to you just import the technology to your country, okay? But think globally, change that mindset. Thailand is a huge country. Chile is very small related to you, but you have the entire world to grow. And we have tons of things to learn and a lot of talented people here. So how can you change that? How can you think and going global? And remember that internationalization is to create an economical impact in your country. We have the ambassadors here, right, that are working with us. And it's a key issue. Exportation, it makes our economic healthier, right? So think global, and you're going to start helping the entire economy of your country and adding value to other ones, okay? And finally, and thanks for saying that, our startups, it doesn't matter that you were not born in the country that you are from our country. These three guys, these are Chilean guys. They are paying taxes. They are hiring local people, and they are creating an economical impact from our small country to Latin America and the world. So think global. It doesn't matter the size of your country. Maybe it's huge. The world is bigger, okay?
I think that is an awesome segue to move into, firstly, Santosh here. All right, thank you very much, because when you're mentioning that he is Chilean, I mean, Santosh is from India originally. Now he's Chilean, like Rocio mentioned.
Yeah, so Santosh, why you're in Chile? India is huge.
Exactly. I mean, the whole population of Chile fits in one major Indian city. Why would you do that?
Okay, so when we started building the product in India, luckily for India, we have a lot of global exposure. There's a lot of competition internally in India that makes us like really, really competitive to go out in the world. So when we started building Spotplay, we started understanding, is this product going to be only for India or can I build it for the whole world? That's when we started exploring the Middle East market, which is closer to India. And then we started looking at European, Latin American, and the US market. Generally, from Asian markets, we always look forward to either Western Europe or US, but that's not the end of the world, right? So the biggest thing that we found was that there's your market could be somewhere else, but you could be building product in India. And that was a very good thing to happen to us because Chile is a beachhead for us. We're going to get exposed to the whole of Latin America from Chile. And the government of Chile has been so helpful to us that we get a soft landing there. And we feel it's like, I'm a Chilean now. I'm like half Chilean, half Indian now. And so I think it's imperative that we live in a global world and we should think globally to build the product for the whole globe and not just for a particular region because you have a huge market out there. And Latin America for you guys is 750 million people are there. It's a huge market. Look forward to it.
Thank you so much, Santosh. And well, you're not the only startup on this panel that comes from South Asia. Nadira is from Sri Lanka originally, and she's also in Chile now. So Nadira, what is your experience there?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting the way we start our startup. So I'm a researcher and I'm a scientist. So I was doing work on infectious diseases. And finally, one day I thought, okay, let me just educate people on vaccination. And I started a Facebook page. And I sent it to one of my friends in India. And he was like, wow, you know what? We have the same problem. And he was like, okay, shall we start something like this? And then I started researching. And everywhere, globally, people use papers to record the vaccination. And we were like, okay, you know, it's a global problem. We should address that. Then he said, oh, there's a interesting program, Startup Chile. We should apply for that. And we applied and, you know, we are in Latin America. And you should see that even in Latin America, like Brazil is one of the biggest economies, like Enrique will tell about that more. So everyone is using papers to record vaccination. So it's a global problem. And Sri Lanka is such a small country. When I went to Chile, people are like, where is Sri Lanka? Like, are you a Hindu? I'm like, Hindu? Yeah, Hindu means Indian. So it's pretty, you know, we are nothing. Thailand people know about Sri Lanka, but when you go to Chile, people even don't know about Sri Lanka. But Startup Chile is, you know, attracting people from all over the world. So it's a pretty interesting journey.
So, your co-founder is from India.
Yeah,
and you're from Sri Lanka.
I'm from Sri Lanka.
That must be challenging, but it's possible, clearly. Now, it's interesting. Now, in the case of Nadira, the problem you're solving is been around for over 70 years, longer?
Yeah. So WHO, when they started the vaccination campaigns, they introduced the papers. So it was 70 years ago.
Wow.
And it has not changed over the world till now. So it's a pain point.
So you're forcefully trying to change a very old industry.
Exactly.
Now, I think that's a very, very strong contrast to Enrique's industry, which is more of the upcoming current industry, fledgling industry, if you will, just the last few years, the cloud. So how is your experience there? How do you find the opportunity in such a fledgling industry, finding the problems?
Yeah, it's like it's a really fast-growing market. And when you think about thinking global, like I said, Brazil is a huge market, and a lot of startups in Brazil has this problem. They don't look global. They don't think. It's such a huge market. Why should I? Why should I think about having all my content in English, in Spanish, or any other language if I have over 200 million people in the country? But the thing is, when you don't look global, you don't realize how many competitors you have. You don't realize how many opportunities you might have on other countries. And other countries doesn't mean the biggest one, the US or China. Maybe on a small country, you have a better opportunity.
But now at the same time, you have clients in Brazil, correct, for your product? So you go from this really big market, is it 200 million in Brazil?
Yeah, a little bit more.
Right, where you have clients, and you go to Chile, which is a very small country comparatively, and you're exposing yourself to competition. Isn't there a fear of risk of copycats? What is your thought on that, especially in a new industry?
Yeah, but you will have copycats anywhere. Doesn't matter what you do. If somebody is looking to copy your product, why don't we? But the thing is, when you're doing software, there's no reason to stay in a country. If you do hardware, you might have a few problems with logistics or things like this. But if it's software, anybody in the world can buy it. So why won't I sell my solution to someone in Asia, in Thailand?
And you're not going to sleep, right?
What for?
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you create a small business or a large or a thinking global business. You're not going to sleep. You have to pay salaries. You have to sell. So if you're going to get for all this painful, because it's painful process, but super happy at the same time, go global, right?
Definitely.
You're going to sleep 3 hours anyway.
Exactly.
And not to forget, there's money in Chile.
Very important.
Yeah, we're equity free. You're right.
Yes, it's an equity-free program. But speaking about money, it's challenging for international startups to raise money overseas. Especially, how is your experience in that regard?
Yeah, definitely. I had like a pretty interesting experience with a VC in the US, and his feedback was after a few talks, he was like, I'm not going to invest in you. It's not because I don't like your product or the team or whatever, but it's because I don't think it's a good fit for you to come to the US. His position was, even though the US is the biggest market for you, the largest market, you face competition. Why will you look for competition? You can go to Latin America, this cloud computing usage is growing a lot. You can go to Asia, Africa, so many countries that you go and you manage problems that they don't have in the US, specific problems from underdeveloped countries. And instead of looking for, I don't know, $1 trillion business in the US, I can have $1 trillion business in Latin plus Asia and plus Africa, for example.
Yeah, so I think we are working with the entire world, right? So when you have global startups, Startup Chile, for example, and everybody can take the idea and make it their own. We created an investor network. So we started the investor network 1.5 years, almost 2 years ago, and we already have around 200 different investors around the world. So we have VCs, we have private equity, family offices, we have angels network, and we really are into help our startups, right? So the final goal, because we're a public organization, is to make their business grow. So for us, investors are everywhere, and if they want to invest in startups that maybe are contributing to the Chilean economy, why not, right? So I truly believe that we have the power sometimes to for startups, knocking doors is super hard because nobody knows them. When we have a brand, we can knock the door for them. They can negotiate by themselves, okay? They are not babies, but we can help you with the connections. So we are very, very worried about it too.
Can I add a point? Startups are always selling, right? Whether I'm selling it to you now with the concept of startups, or whether I'm selling it to my employee to hire him, whether I'm selling it to my investors or to the market. So investors also are one of our potential customers where we are selling the concept of my company to come in and partner with us. So when you go global, you are actually exploring the opportunity to get more investors. It's not a limitation. It's not a challenge. It's either an opportunity. It's more of a perspective how you look at it. And I think going global helps you in reaching out to so many more so many more investors. It could be VCs, angels in various countries, because Latin America has its own market and has its own VC network, which I couldn't tap it from India. But if I'm in LATAM, it's much more easier to reach out to them.
Well, thank you so much for that. I think we're going to segue into our next theme of the night, which is about international exposure and collaboration. Now, Rocio, you were mentioning that just now, and of course you mentioned that during your talk as well. And we sort of touched over some of the risks and challenges, naturally, that we have about going global. Now, it's good that we also touch upon the positives, as you were mentioning just now, Santosh. Now, Startup Chile, for example, is a startup in itself. It's actually quite amazing. Now, this is literally a panel of startups, government included. Could you just mention a little bit about that? I think it's a great story, please. It's fantastic.
Well, Startup Chile started in 2010, and it was an experiment. that came from the government. It was like, what happened if we put these crazy people attracting young people with energy, not the traditional public sector employees working with international startups, and we put them together in an office to create businesses and changing the Chilean mindset. And that's how Startup Chile started, with almost zero budget. We still have, we have a budget of $9 million per year. We fund 200 startups per year with grants of 30, 40K each, equity free. And we help them with connections with an acceleration program. But we started, do you remember the guy, the boss that you have to convince? We started from the bottom, okay? So we were just an energetic team of people trying to change Chile. And nobody, we just had, we just have the grant for our startups and nothing else. We don't have budget for marketing, we don't have budget for communications, for recruiting, scouting, traveling around the world. So everything that if you know a Startup Chile, everything that has been done by a Startup Chile is because of the team. And how can you and I, as a boss, empower the team to change an entire world, right? And today, we are changing things in Chile. You started here with NAA, right, with BOI, and you are doing awesome things because the order comes from the top, right? And here, it was completely the opposite. It was a bottom-up policy, and now we are convincing the government to change things. For example, we had a visa. Everybody that is accepted in Chile, we give them immediately 1 year working visa. They can renovate it for 1 year, and after the second year, they can apply to the permanent resident immediately. That was just a benefit for our startups, and today, the Chilean government implemented the Visa Tech using the same protocols to attract talented people from the entire world that wants to work in technology inside our country. That is how we started to create and change things from the bottom to the top. We still don't have budget for anything except the grants for our startups, but it shows you how can you really change things, and it depends just from the things that you are able to and the power that you put in changing the country.
I think you've created a lot of incentives for different startups around the world to go to your program. Now, well, again, coming from South Asia, right, Santosh, Nadira, besides the money, why else did you go to Chile? What were sort of the key reasons of going outside of your comfort zone from your countries and going to the other side of the world and continents that are not even connected by land? What are the key points? What are you managing to do?
So let me tell you my experience. I used to be a banker earlier. Boring, but...
you have the money.
Yeah, a lot of money to give it away. So I used to be an investment banker in Paris, traveled a lot. One of the things I started learning in my journey in my corporate job was that when you meet people from other countries, other cultures, you'll learn a lot. That exposure is something that you'll not get in your homeland, but you should travel around to get that. So Startup Chile is one way, good way to travel around. Let me tell you one of the quotes that I believe truly, which Edison mentioned, is the power of idea lies in using it. So when I had this idea of building this product for the entertainment solution for the buses, in India it was like very, very competitive. We have so many startups doing similar small changes in the ideas and working on the prototypes. We felt that it's better to go to a market which has the real a niche market that can be tackled, and that's where we started looking at a soft landing program. It's really hard to go and apply for a visa in an unknown country and pump in your own money to get inside. But Startup Chile was really helpful for us because they lay a red carpet for you. You have their whole team at your exposure. Today I'm not a 2-member team or a 4-member team with 2 interns. I'm actually a 25-member team because 23 of Startup Chile guys are working for me. Right? And just to add another point, I wouldn't have come to this event if not for Startup Chile. Right? I'm meeting investors today with the speed dating session. It's because I'm in an international program and I'm in an international pavilion. That gives me a lot of exposure. I'm meeting potential clients in the Thai bus market. I even have a connection who said who's going to introduce me to the BTS in Thai, which wouldn't have been possible. Right? So that is what you get from the going global kind of a programs that helps you to reach out to a larger market, not just your homeland, not just Startup Chile or a Chilean market. Now I'm also looking at Southeast Asia.
Yeah, so I went for money.
It's a good reason.
Yeah.
It's the most famous reason.
Yeah, but on a serious note, so we went to Startup Chile, and just because we went to Startup Chile, we started translating everything to Spanish. So if you translate everything to Spanish, which means you are reaching 47 countries. So it's a huge deal. If we have not gone to Startup Chile, we would have not done that. So that is going global.
You also managed to find niche market. I mean, Sri Lanka being in a way also a niche market. You
Yeah.
go to Chile, you managed to get some traction there as well?
Yeah, so much of attention and traction because of Startup Chile program, because they are really helpful. It's government organization, so they are connecting you with the right people. So it's really easy to go to the government as well as the public sector.
So now you have traction in different continents.
Continents,
Oh, wow.
exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
Can I just add an interesting point for a lot of Asians we could relate to that is going outwardly inward. Today, being a global company, it helps me to reach out to my Indian potential clients to say that we are global.
Wow.
That creates a lot of credibility in the mind that it's a global product accepted in other countries, so it's much more easier to sell.
Yeah, I can add one more interesting thing. So when I went to Sri Lanka to really push to the hospitals to acquire this and use it, I said to one pediatrician, you know what, Chile, we are using this. And like, really? Can you show the data? And if you can show the pilots you have done in Chile, we are like open to accept that.
Wow.
So that's how Go Global helps you.
Enrique, how about you? Did you find a market fit going global, getting outside of Brazil? Were you able to find other markets that fit your model?
Yeah, definitely. I think the most important thing about Startup Chile is the doors that they open.
Right.
Is that, for example, right now I'm doing a project with Telefónica, one of the biggest companies in the world, that we probably wouldn't be able to start it without like the stamp of a corporation like Startup Chile.
Oh, wow.
So even though the Chilean market is not a big market for us, we can have all these partners and all this channels, this distribution channel through those kind of companies that we are only able to do it with this stamp and with this collaboration. And I couldn't agree more with both points. First of all, language, like it forces you to translate your documents and everything, like start AdWords campaigns in other countries. Small things that helps you show if you have a fit on different markets. And I think going global is about this, about trying and seeing what would be the best option for you.
Now, I think, Rocio, I'd like you to fill in on something Santosh mentioned about going outward in. You know the phrase that no one is a prophet in their own land. How do you deal with that? How do you challenge that concept?
It's complicated.
Oh, I bet. It's the reason it's a concept, right?
No, it is super complicated because it's hard, right? But we have been just leading by the example, and I think when you show results, when you see that the investment that the government is putting on us, that is around $9 million per month, and just our startups are selling $50 or $45 million per year in their country and creating 5,000 jobs already. Remember that Chile is super small, so keep the proportions. The program is already paid 3 to 5 times, so plus all the secondary impact, right? So with that, you have more power to negotiate some things, but it's hard because people, when you are in your own country, they said like, yeah, they are the guys that travel a lot, and that's it. And they really don't know what is behind it. So we have been working super hard to show the numbers, show that we have a very real economical impact, because as I told you, the policy was made bottom up, right? So it's a mission-driven policy. And another thing that is very important is to tell you that Startup Chile started 8 years ago, and we were first movers globally. After Startup Chile was created, 50 countries, around 50 countries created a program similar to Startup Chile, and Startup Thailand is one of the examples. So even when you're not doing the copycat, you are creating your own because you saw somebody that already did that, right? So we were game changers 7, 8 years ago.
Again, Startup Chile is a startup. There's no doubt about it. But as much as I like to keep talking on this specific topic, I think it's good that we move on to the last theme, right? Which is about truths and myths, right? There are all sorts of truths and myths in regards to startups, but let's take it from a global perspective, from an international startup perspective. Now, let's do this a little bit more dynamically. Let's start from Enrique. We'll go down this way, furthest to closest. Give us one reason why you're not building a startup and why.
I am not building a startup?
Yes.
Oh, that's a good point. I'm not building a startup to make money. No way. If you want to make money, go to consulting.
I don't believe you, Enrique.
Go to consulting, go to a big company. There's a lot of opportunities there, but for startups, that's not the goal.
I think Santosh can agree with that. Investment banking, move to
For sure.
startup.
Been there, done that.
Nadira, how about you?
Yeah, probably not to be too sexy or, cool. Yeah.
Right.
I think.
I don't understand it.
Like, I'm not building a startup to become cool or, be sexy.
To be a popular thing.
Popular.
And, no,
brand,
that's why you're
yeah.
targeting such a
Yeah.
old problem at the same time.
Yeah.
Santosh, how about you?
Okay, I keep telling this in a lot of forums in India. Don't do startups for fashion, but do it for passion. So there's a
Yeah.
huge difference between the fashion and the passion. If you don't have passion, it's like nightmarish to be in startup. And startups are not sexy, believe me, been there.
Rocio, how about you?
Well, I am managing a portfolio of startups. So one of the myths is like, yes, it's cool, it looks nice, everybody is always smiling, but they are smiling because they are building a community, because they are really not sleeping and working super hard, right? And they have to pay salaries, and sometimes government money don't arrive at the time, right? And they have to suffer. So we are building an organization to change our country.
Wow. That was
I think I'll add that most of the startups don't receive, the founders don't receive any salary, so it's not cool at all.
Are you your own bosses? Do you feel that you're the boss?
Are you kidding? Startups, as a founder, you report to everybody in the world, like literally everybody, right from your employees to your potential clients to your, so even to her, we report to her now. So if you are looking at startups to avoid reporting, you're not. You're reporting to everyone. I'm reporting to Gerardo now. you end up reporting to everyone.
And I think you end up doing everything.
Yes. Yes, that's true.
Yeah, especially in early stages.
Yeah.
Now, let's do it in the inverse direction and give me a reason why you are building a startup or building your startup.
Startup Chile is a startup because everybody is super passionate about what they are doing, and because we are multitask. We do everything. If you were in a Startup Chile event right now, I will be moving the chairs at the end of the event with my team.
The famous quote, stay angry, stay foolish. I'm really passionate about the segment that we are in, the product we are building. I truly believe that we can create a difference in the transportation segment. And that's what is driving me without salary for 2 years.
So for Immunify, it's the impact which we are creating, because it's a global problem and we want to solve it. So it's so much more than profit. It is profit, but it is with a social cause. Yeah.
I think to empower people, that's a power that technology has, that takes someone in the middle of nowhere to have the same ability to access data and information than someone in New York.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing all that. Now, I'm going to open up a little bit more to maybe make a point about common misconceptions that you normally find, when taking on the world. What would you say are very common misconceptions?
May I start with venture capital?
Venture capital?
Yeah, I think now startups are starting to see this way that you can go bootstrap. You don't necessarily need to go to the venture capital way. Depending on your business, depending on your expansion strategy, you have both ways.
Now, if you're going for a venture capital, can you be a local company?
Not at all. Like, unless you are in a super huge market like China, for example, you're probably going to need to have an expansion plan, a global plan. If you think about the biggest startups in the world, WeWork, Uber, Airbnb, they're all global, and they're like super global. They have more revenue all around the world than in the United States. So if you go into this way, especially in a medium-sized country like Thailand, you need to think global, definitely.
Thank you.
I think people try to go for the trends, like let's say it's artificial intelligence, nanotechnology, blockchain, and you really forget the real problems. So you just get carried away. So that is a problem, I guess.
And the most important thing that I feel that is, if you're building a product, build it 10x to an existing solution that is trying to solve the problem. If not 10x, it's not worth it. Don't do it.
I want to ask you one thing specifically, Santosh. You went from investment banking and you moved to startup. Was age, experience, something that held you back? As in, was it a worry for you when you first made that shift?
Not really. I actually had an advantage in terms of getting the global exposure. I understood the industries from being a banker. I saw so many industries working on, so that was an advantage for me. And but then you also have to unlearn a lot because you are bound to the corporate way of life. You have to get away with your tie, your coats, get to your shorts, start working like 24/7. There's no concierge service. There are no fancy hotels. Be in a youth hostel. I've done that. Like, it's really hard, but you need to do that to start realizing that it's frugal innovation that drives the world. It's not the fancy VC money that will drive. It's frugal innovation initially. Use the VC money to expand your business, not to just build a product. Right? Build your product first and then get the VC money. That's my motto.
All right. Oh, thank you. Rocio, do you want to add something before we start closing the panel?
Language. The global language is English, guys. Sorry. And you have to learn it. It doesn't matter if you don't speak perfectly. I really don't like the way I speak English. But we can communicate with everybody. It's super important. You have to learn it. I'm 38, and I learned English when I was 24. So it completely changed my life. It was a painful process to learn the language, but now I see the results, and it's really worth it. So don't be scary. Now I didn't have YouTube or nothing to learn English when I was like 13 years ago, right? So language is a barrier, and you are the only one that can break that barrier. So learn English is going to open tons of words, a ton of different opportunities for you.
So if we sort of start summarizing some of the key points, I mean, clearly the local market should not be your market. And the biggest markets are not necessarily your best markets. US, Brazil, so on. So I want you to sort of comment on a statement. I'm going to make a statement, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on it, all right? So if you're coming from a relatively large market, let's say Thailand. Thailand is a relatively large market. If you're not thinking globally, you will eventually get overtaken by someone who is. What do you think about that? If you're not thinking globally as a startup in a market, such as Thailand, you're going to get overtaken.
So can I make a comment? It's easy to learn from others' mistakes. So you don't have to make a lot of mistakes. So go global, get exposure, learn from others' mistakes. Because a lot of problems that are there in in my country, for example, is similar to what's there in Thailand, what's there in Latin America. It could be a different flavor, but I don't have to do the same mistakes to learn from it. I can just go global. I can start interacting with other entrepreneurs. It's really important because, for example, I talk to Enrique. I learn a lot because although we are not in the same sector, but the problems remain the same for a founder. How to maybe recruit, how to maybe talk to the VC. There are a lot of mistakes that we do, which will get eliminated because we share experiences. And that's really important to get the exposure. And it's not just the market alone. You get a lot of other learnings. You get to learn from each other.
I think thinking global is about your selling. It's about how far can you go. If you don't think global, you are just not pushing yourself to be the best. And eventually, somebody is going to do better than what you're doing. And somebody is going to do something that you don't even realize. And when you do, it might be too late.
I think for us to be in Chile is like the most unexpected part of the world. So it's like capital and talent, it's just traveling far and beyond. So you have to think global and be global. That's the key thing, I think.
Collaboration. We're here to collaborate with you, to create bridges, to connect. It's a key. You cannot grow, make your business grow if you don't collaborate with each other. Sometimes you want to create everything by yourself. That's the growth of that, it's almost zero. And the impact that you can create, it's nothing. So always think in a collaborative way. We are in a new economy. Everybody's thinking about Industry 4.0, that is digitalization. But Industry 4.0, it's also about collaboration. The way we do things, the collaborative economies, the young people think different. We collaborate. Uber, right? Airbnb, all the new economy, all the new large corporations are based on collaboration. So it's not just about collaborative business models. It's about how can you make your business grow. So remember going global, but remember to collaborate with each other. It's important. Don't tell your secret sauce. Of course, you're making a business, right? Keep your secret sauce to you, but collaborate with each other, support each other, help each other, and you're going to grow much faster than you can imagine. It's not about, and we always talk about it, it's not about eating a small cake. It's making the cake bigger for everybody so everybody can have a bigger piece of cake. Okay?
That's fantastic. With that, I think that segment's into a final question for all of you. What would be your recommendation for the private sector to help make that cake bigger?
Collaborate, guys. Matching startups with large corporations can change the rules, can be a game changer. Traditional companies have the knowledge of the market, have the money, and startups has the energy and technology to change things. So you have to create bridges.
It's cheaper. It's cheaper to go to a startup, make a partnership, investment, M&A, than to do yourself. Cheaper and faster.
I think VCs should invest in global startups. Like Startup Chile has taken a huge leap investing in global startups, so, and they are succeeding. So I think it's a good way that you should definitely invest in global startups.
Yeah, and just to add a point, Google makes over 1,000 M&As every year.
That's a very good point, thank you.
So something interesting I found in Thailand is the CVC segment.
Right.
It's really huge. And one of the things I would love to see is that the CVC start investing in Thai startups that can go global, and also investing in international companies, startups who can come to Thailand. Because that would really bridge a big blockage now, which is like that. I think that there are a lot of Thai companies which have the talent, but they're not able to go global. If the CVCs can push that, nothing like it. And if CVCs can invest in companies like us to come into Thailand, because we want to explore here, but we don't have the kind of connections that the CVCs can bring in for us. And we look forward to that.
Thank you so much. Now, just so you have an idea, it took about 2 full days for everyone on this panel to make their way here to Startup Thailand. And we're going to be here, today is our last day, unfortunately, for everyone on the panel, because it takes another 2 full days to get back to Chile. Nonetheless, the trip is worth it. It's worth it. You have to go out. You have to look beyond your box. And by doing so, you're going to find opportunities. And by looking at opportunities, you're going to change the world. Now, with that, I would like to, of course, invite everyone here to have a visit at the Chilean pavilion. We have a great pavilion. We have 8 startups from Startup Chile. We have 2 more startups also here from Chile. So do come over, have a look, have a chat. I'm sure any of them would love to talk to you, share their experience, and collaborate. It's the future. So let's start doing that. And thank you everyone for your time, your attention. I hope this was an interesting panel for all of you. And I hope we all learned something today. I know I did. So can I get a big round of applause for our panelists, please?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.